All right, let's start in the NFL. There is or not quite in the NFL. The NFL draft process is very interesting because you often get misinformation thrown out simply to, get people off the kilter and make one team think that you're going to draft a guy above another guy, or you don't really care about this guy, so other people, maybe let him fall down the draft board. You get misinformation put out against players, and then ultimately on draft day, we can often see the exact opposite of what we would have expected based on some of the pre-draft noise. Well, something interesting is happening with Justin Fields, who is the star quarterback, and he was fantastic at points this season. Even though in the Big Ten championship game he wasn't so great, but he's been a really good quarterback over the last 2 years at one of the biggest and best programs in college football, obviously Ohio State. But the 49ers are a team who we know is going to draft a quarterback. Right, Jimmy Garoppolo has been their starter for the last 4 seasons. Actually, 3 seasons, I should say. Last 4 seasons, actually. But 3 seasons are the ones that are interesting. Because in those 3 seasons, these last 3, he has played 3 games. Then he went down with an ACL injury, a contact ACL injury. He comes back the subsequent year. He takes him to the Super Bowl. And then last year, he plays 6 games before he gets hurt again. So he is a tantalizing $100 million quarterback who they stole from the New England Patriots because Bill Belichick and Tom Brady potentially had some divided thoughts on what his future should be with the Patriots. So the Pats traded him for a second-round pick to the San Francisco 49ers. He came in. He won right away. In fact, he won his first 4 games at the end of that first season that he was traded. And then he comes in the next year and he's winning. And it's, man, this kid he's going to be a star, right? He looks the part. He is the star. And then the injuries start to mount up, and he starts to ride that proverbial roller coaster. Let's have this great season, not so much so. Hey, okay, you look good, then you get hurt again. So he gets stuck in this category, which I've talked about for years on this show, and this comes from one of my athletic trainers when I was with the New York Giants, when guys just would consistently get hurt. Like, they're really good, not knocking their talent at all, but they would just consistently get hurt. He would say, yeah, maybe he's got some bad cells. Well, Jimmy Garoppolo is getting to that point where I think he's got bad cells. And if he doesn't have bad cells, he's certainly got bad luck because of this roller coaster he's been riding. Because when he's healthy and he's surrounded by talent, as we saw 2 seasons ago, he is really, really good. I'm not going to say he's great, but he's really, really good and can take a team to a Super Bowl. In fact, he was a throw or 2 away from winning that Super Bowl 2 years ago against the Kansas City Chiefs. Remember, he missed on the big one to Emmanuel Sanders, and that's ultimately what a lot of people will point to as the turning point for the Kansas City Chiefs to ultimately win that game. So we know he's good, but he can't stay healthy. And so as a result, the 49ers, who are not shy about expressing their plans, have traded up in the draft to go to number 3 to give themselves options to draft his replacement. Now, the reason this is unique and it's odd is because you very rarely hear teams be open and public about their plans and transparent about how they feel about some of their players. Now, they have to be a little bit careful here because Jimmy Garoppolo has a no-trade clause in his contract, so they can't just come out and blast them and say, yeah, you're not the fit anymore. We don't want you anymore, and we're going to replace you with whoever we draft in this year's draft, and bygones be bygones. See ya. Good luck wherever you go. Because Jimmy Garoppolo, then via his no-trade clause, will make it really hard for them to get rid of him. And they can't get rid of him. So they've been doing the right thing. Jimmy Garoppolo is our starter. Jimmy Garoppolo plays. That's who we're going to start with under center in 2021. We have ultimate faith in him. Behind the scenes, obviously saying we have ultimate faith in him as long as he's healthy, and setting him up to feel good about himself. Now, we know Jimmy Garoppolo doesn't actually feel good about himself right now. The 49ers, the team he is on, who went to the Super Bowl 2 years ago with him at the helm, has just traded up to the number 3 spot so they could draft his replacement. Of course he's not happy about this. In fact, Kyle Shanahan, their head coach, he was asked about this, and he said, you know what? He probably is mad. And that's a good thing, because when he gets mad, he plays better. And so they are like so transparent, actually refreshingly transparent about how they're treating Jimmy Garoppolo and how they plan on addressing their quarterback situation in the 2021 draft going forward. You know, Jimmy could stay there for a year. He could be the mentor, a la Alex Smith for Pat Mahomes, whoever they draft. But it's just an odd situation. And you got to believe that at some point it's going to become an untenable situation, and Jimmy Garoppolo is going to want to head for the exit. Now, here's where we start to speculate about what the 49ers are planning on doing. There are 5 or so really good quarterbacks in this draft. Obviously, Trevor Lawrence from the national champion Clemson Tigers sits atop that list. Zach Wilson from BYU, who played obviously a lesser level of football. I'm not saying he's not a good football player. It just is what it is. They were an independent BYU. They had a lesser schedule than what Clemson has had to play, both in the ACC and obviously in the college football playoff over the last 3 years, one of which was a national championship that he won. There is Mac Jones, who just won a national championship with the Alabama Crimson Tide. He is one of the most polished players I've ever seen in person for a college kid. He makes great throws. He's got a high football IQ. There is Justin Fields, who we're going to talk about here in a second. And then obviously Trey Lance, who was he's definitely smaller school, Northern, where did he go? Why am I forgetting where he went to? Wherever he was. North Dakota State. That's right. North Dakota State. And he's unpolished, but he might have the most potential of all of these kids out here. Now, the big issue with Justin Fields, and this is why this is interesting what the 49ers have just decided to do, is that when he gets flustered, when he's outside of the pocket, when the normal mechanism of reading a play or a defense during a specified play breaks down, he tends to make bad decisions. And so I'm not saying he's not going to be a good quarterback. In fact, he might be one of the best because he's physically so big. He fits the role. When you look at him, he's a specimen for a player. He's a really good athlete. He runs through tackles. He's not going to be easy to bring down in the backfield and can extend plays, some of these elite play extenders like Russell Wilson in the NFL. He's obviously bigger than Russell Wilson, but you get what I'm getting at. He has great potential, but it's going to take a while, I believe, for a lot of teams for him to realize that potential. And so the 49ers today decided that they are not even going to go to his pro day. So the only opportunity that the 49ers, or really a lot of teams, would get to see Justin Fields is at his pro day, because there was no combine. There is none of the other visits and other things that have happened in previous years for the potential top recruits in the NFL draft. None of that has happened in this year. The only way to see a player is to go to their pro day. And the 49ers are skipping Justin Fields' pro day to go to Mac Jones's second pro day. Now, I'm not sure. I'm positive they were at the first one, but they're definitely going to the second one. They probably went to the first one, and now they're going to the second one, which tells me one of two things. One, they either love Mac Jones, and when you think about what Mac Jones did in college, he had an elite group of wide receivers around him. He had a good running game, a stout offensive line. I mean, Alabama won all of those offensive awards for college football. Now, it was helped because the Big Ten and the Pac-12, they only played half their season, or maybe even some of the teams less than half their season. And so it was a limited pool to choose from these awards. But Alabama won all of those awards, and obviously they won the national championship as well. And if you look at what Kyle Shanahan likes to do, which is run the football, just like Alabama loves to run the football, have some quick-hitting, big explosive plays in the pass game, most importantly, be accurate and durable, Mac Jones fits that role. right? It makes perfect sense for the San Francisco 49ers, who have good talent on both sides of the ball, who have a general manager and John Lynch, who has drafted extraordinarily well. You save that first one. There's a couple outliers you could throw in there that maybe he missed on, but still, for the most part, he's drafted extraordinarily well, done good things in free agency, and took his team to a Super Bowl. Right, in his third year in 4 years as a general manager, his team has already gone to a Super Bowl. So John Lynch knows what he's doing, and when you look at how they've constructed their team, it makes so much sense, right, for the San Francisco 49ers to draft Mac Jones. Especially because they're skipping Justin Fields' pro day. You draft Mac Jones, you let Jimmy Garoppolo either show him the ropes or, I don't know, be that bridge for a few games. Maybe you even think, well, Jimmy gets hurt. At least we have someone who can step right in and play. I think Mac Jones is probably the most NFL-ready quarterback because of the high level that he played at college. He had some adversity, some ups, some really high ups, obviously, throwing for over 4,500 yards last year and winning a national championship. He was third in the Heisman. But he also had some bad games as well that he had to overcome, including at the end of the season 2 years ago against Auburn, where he had a huge day. He threw for over 300 yards, but he threw 3 interceptions, which kept Auburn in that game, and ultimately they lost that one. So Mac Jones has been through the ringer. He worked up as a backup. He had to change the perception about him. He feels like this great underdog story that fits exactly what the 49ers are looking to do. Unless the 49ers are just throwing smoke at us. And I can't doubt that might be happening. Because that's when you make it so public. First of all, public with Jimmy G. We're moving off of him at some point, maybe not next year, but down the line. And you know what? We're moving up to number 3 so we can have versatility at drafting a quarterback or whichever quarterback is remaining and do the best, put our team in the best position to win. And Mac Jones is having his second pro day. We went to the first one. Now we're going to go to the second one. Yeah, it's all about Mac Jones, Mac Jones, Mac Jones, Mac Jones. Why are they doing that? Because you know who else would perfectly fit Mac Jones in the system, in their system? The New England Patriots. And who is tied with tied, not like equal, but tied together in a quarterback who happens to be on the 49ers roster? Jimmy Garoppolo, formerly of the New England Patriots. Now I'm speculating. I'm getting in conspiracy theory levels here, but I know. Because I've seen it year over year over year over year. When you get to this point and people start blatantly making comments to drive your attention somewhere, they're actually messing around over here doing something else. So yeah, the 49ers might be all in on Mac Jones, or they could just be telling the New England Patriots, hey, Pats, we're taking your guy. We're taking your guy, Mac Jones, at number 3. If you want him, you better come get him.
Thanks for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit that bell to be notified when we drop fresh content.